I'm Sean. This is my wife Holly, and this is our son Jack. He was diagnosed with infantile idiopathic scoliosis, and part of that process is they're put in a cast. Part of the casting is that there's an undergarment, and it's a pretty durable undergarment. It's pretty stretchy, but the side effect of having this undergarment is it gets dirty and it gets stinky, so you have to change it every once in a while. Should we take your shirt off?
We'll just work together.
Should we take your shirt off? Best thing to do to try to get it off is laying him flat, because it kind of straightens out his stomach a little bit. And really, there's no trick to doing this. You just grab a chunk of cloth as much as you can and just pull it. The only worrisome part sometimes is if they're sweaty, it gets a little harder. And then if you're pulling it, it's kind of crinkling the skin, so I always just kind of go through and try to uncrinkle the skin. The back's a little more difficult just because you just have this little section to work with, but if you just kind of slowly work it, it'll come off. So you just kind of keep pulling at it and just keep working it. Once you get it through this part of it, it's usually pretty simple. We have a half-naked baby. Taking the shirt off, it probably took us 3 to 5 minutes. The next thing we have to do is hook up this little system.
So what we've got here is a plastic needle. It's probably about 2.5 inches long. We've just got it at a craft store. And then a piece of ribbon, and then a safety pin. We put one on the front and the back.
And the important part of this is you want to line up the holes on the cast with the shirt. So on the back side, you want to put the reason we're putting on this side is because on the cast there's a hole about right here, so that'll help when you feed it through. So the hardest part of putting this on is probably dealing with a squirmy child. So you're going to be working with him sitting down, laying on his back, whatever angle you can do to get this to go on. We'll start with sitting, just to see if he will sit. You just put it on like a normal shirt. Hey, Jack, bud. So if you can distract him to pay attention to something else other than the shirt, you just put the top on like you would a normal shirt. Sometimes you can work together at the same time if he'll let you. Otherwise, you just do one at a time. Really simply, all you got to do is, and I try not to go straight down because I don't want to poke him, even though it's just plastic. I don't want to poke him. So I kind of try to go at an angle. And then you just got to kind of work that needle through there. And you just fish it through. The top is pretty easy because there's quite a bit of space. It's the bottom and the back that get kind of tough. So you get that through there, and you don't have to get it all through there. You just get a good amount. And you kind of get down to the sides here because this gets pretty tight. So you just kind of get that down. And then you'll turn them around and do the same thing. And like I said, this is why you want it on that side of the shirt, is because that's your hole that you can give you a little more flexibility and easier to work with. So you just do the same thing and you poke it through. Like I say, be careful not to poke him. So this might be one of the more difficult parts, just because you've got that much area to go through and you got to deal with his hip. But the same thing, you just have to kind of find a pathway. Don't push too hard with it, and I just kind of work it through there. You might have to try to get some fingers up in there and try to keep it pushed up against the casting instead of down towards the skin. Just kind of find a channel in there to where you can push it through, and just go smooth so you don't scratch the skin with the needle and the safety pin. And you might need to kind of just work it real slowly. So this is maybe the trickiest part, because especially if if your son or daughter has a belly like mine does, you don't have a whole lot to work with there. So a part of it is trying to be gentle with the stomach and also feeding it through. Then you just find, like I say, you just find a channel. Careful not to poke his skin. And then you can push a little bit on the stomach, but just be gentle. Same thing, you just kind of fish it through there. Like I say, don't worry about thinking you're going to rip it, because it is pretty durable. Hey, can you stand up, bud? Sometimes it helps if Dad holds up in the air. And an important part is you don't want the clothing bunched up in there, because it can give him sores. So you try to straighten the shirt out as much as you can. This process has cut our time down from 20 minutes to probably another 5 minutes. So 5 minutes total to get the shirt on.
You did so good.
Hey, smile.
Should be a little bit tighter, but